Yep. Well, I'm back. I'm back for this will be a very interesting video. Those are my strong glasses. I need to put those on when I gotta read. See a little more power in them. Um, Man, people, I gotta tell you, man. I gotta tell you. It's. I don't spend a lot of time in negativity. I don't do it. Because there's really no need. There's no need, and you don't solve anything when you wallow in negativity, right? Things are what they are. People are who they are, and will be who they will be, and will change if they want to. But at the same time, although I won't wallow, I still will speak my mind, especially when I know it's important. You know, Martin Luther King was a very powerful man, and he believed in peace, but he spoke his mind. He spoke about equality, about justice. And you may not have liked some of Malcolm X's ways, but by all means, by any means necessary, he was looking for equality and justice. Mother Teresa, equality, justice. Gandhi, equality, justice. All the greatest leaders of our civilization, our global citizens, our leadership, our global citizen leaders, all the ones you could think of, they all had the principles and still behind the principles of bringing people together. And I want to speak on what's very important to me, and it needs to be addressed. There are people who call themselves and are sitting in the seat of pastors, bishops, leaders of a flock. And although nobody's perfect, okay, nobody is perfect, just believe that, there still comes a time when you need to work on your flaws. There comes a time when you need to work on your flaws. And the way you treat people indicates what kind of heart you really have. And let me tell you something. You cannot call yourself a pastor, a leader of people, if you don't genuinely, authentically love people. And that's not just loving people because they come to your church and they're giving you money. Let's clarify this. Your job as a pastor, as a leader of God's community, is to love on people authentically. Meet them where they are, even if they're not in your church. And what I've begun to see a lot of, I've always seen this, but I've seen it more, especially over the last 10 years, of people who stand in leadership with one face, but behind closed doors is another face. And you begin to see people leave the church, leave the congregation because of this type of behavior. Again, nobody's perfect, but if you are going to put yourself in leadership of God's people, you must work as God would work. You must do what Christ would do. Okay, and let me tell you what Christ would do. Christ is the kind of person where he came to the earth, and Christ loved people where they are. The hookers, the tax collectors, all the greatest sinners. He sat amongst them. All right? He didn't judge them. He found a way to love them authentically and meet them where they were, and he transformed lives through that type of action. You're not going to change the lives of people by judging them, by shunning them, by manipulating them because they don't do what you want them to do. As a matter of fact, you are closer to feeling God's wrath. You are much closer to feeling the wrath of God when you call yourself a person in leadership of God's people and you mistreat them. And a lot of times because of life, we don't realize that we're mistreating people. We don't know that. We're moving all the time and we're trying to do this, and so many things are taking place. We just don't recognize it. But what I suggest you do is what's called a self-audit. And I need you to look, especially, I'm talking to my pastors and my bishops and my leaders right now. I'm talking to you. It's important. You know, I studied theology for over the last 10 years. I've sat in the seat as a pastor of a couple churches, and I've had a chance to see a variety of different leadership styles, and some good, some bad, you know, some indifferent, what have you. And this message is not for anybody. This is not going towards anybody that, so if you're watching this and you know me, you're a pastor, I don't think I'm talking to you. I mean, unless this pertains to you, right? This pertains to the people, the pastors that are leading the flock, leading the sheep, but they have these flaws in their character, okay? They have these flaws in their integrity. Remember, your character is a muscle, and your integrity is a fiber within that muscle. If your integrity is flawed, there is a fiber flaw within inside of your character muscle, which means your character will not be able to withstand the pressure and the strongholds of life. Your character will not be able to withstand if you have an integral fiber that is messed up and jacked up. And the way you check your integrity is just do what's called a self-audit. See what people are saying about you. Just take a look. Because a lot of times we'll walk through earth, we'll walk through life, we just think everything is green and the sky is blue, and you don't realize that you've just ran over 13 people. You don't realize that you've just hurt several hearts. You don't realize that because of your actions and what you've been trying to accomplish, you've manipulated people in a negative way, and you've left disdain taste in their mouth, in their heart about you. It's important that you know this, because if you are going to call yourself a pastor, if you are called here to lead the people, then I need for you to lead the people. I need for you to take a chance. I need you to take a look in the mirror at yourself. Look at what you're doing. Don't just walk the walk. I need you to go ahead and do a self-audit and see what you're doing. Look at the fruit from the seeds you've been planting. Just do it. There is some things that have happened recently outside of my church. It's nothing to do with my church. I love my pastor. Pastor Gavin, love you, man. But there's some things that have happened, and I've watched some things happen. And, you know, it's important. I hold people that call themselves pastors, I hold them on a different level. I do. Because what you can do or say as a pastor could be catastrophic for somebody. Like, you are called to lead people to glory. And, you know, in my early days, as an early Christian, I came across some really manipulative people, and it gave me a disgusting taste for church. It did. I almost walked away from church because of one pastor who was just literally had some serious flaws, and it shocked me because I thought he was a man of God, and it was kind of my fault because I held him at a higher level than I should have. But that's what happens when you're seeking. They're like mentors. They're guiders. And if somebody's guiding and you're believing and you're trusting them, and then they guide you and they lead you off a cliff, you're like, yo, dude, I'm falling off a cliff, son. Like, what's up? And then they're just looking at you like, that can hurt. Now, if somebody regular just leads you off a cliff, you're like, all right, whatever. You know, you're watching that. But you're not expecting the one who calls himself a leader for God to do that. So just take a look at yourself in the mirror. Just look at yourself, man. Look at what you've been doing. Look at what people have been saying about you. Again, it's not always about what people say about you, but what people say about you, if a lot of people are saying the same thing, then it's something that you maybe should evaluate. Because through evaluation, then you can get better. It's called critiquing. You can't critique yourself, and you can't just rely on your inner close circle for critiques, because they're going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you, if you want to change, sometimes you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm here to tell you, if you're here to lead God's people, then you better do a self-audit. Because there's nothing worse. If you are a believer and you are called to lead believers, then nothing worse than get into the gates. And God asks you, what have you done? And you are just flabbergasted because you don't recognize and realize that you destroyed the lives of hundreds and possibly thousands of people with your ignorance. Yeah, that's a hard message, huh? And I had to put it out there. because this world is jacked up enough. There's enough jacked up things happening around us. There's enough jacked up things happening, man. It's hard enough for us to come together right now. So I need for my leaders that are put in leadership position to own that. Own your responsibility of leading people. Do what's called a self-audit. Do a heart check and look at your history. And by taking a look at your history, you can see what kind of seeds you've been planting. And if you're getting some weeds coming up, if you're getting some rotten fruit coming up, you need to start taking a look at some of the seeds that you drop. Okay? I mean that. God loves you. God loves us all. But if you're here to lead his people, you're not here to do it your way. You're not here just to build up cash flow for your church. You're not here just to fill up the congregation seats for your building. It really has nothing to do with you. It's all about them. Them being the people. So find out how you can serve authentically. And if you're falling off a little bit, then you can find a mentor. Find a mentor that's going to hold you accountable to do what God sent you here to do. All right. All right, guys. God bless. Hope that's something that can resonate. Hope it's a seed that can drop into the soil of your mind and produce some good fruit. I know it will. Good night.